Secretary Bessent, really want to thank you for joining us here. This room here, this Salmon Chase Suite, really historic room. The folks here at the Treasury Department, as we were setting up, were telling me all about the history here. And I think there's no better place to have a conversation about ushering in a new golden era, a new golden age in America, as President Trump talks about it economically, than the room in which then Treasury Secretary, later Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, and President Abraham Lincoln developed a plan to save the Republic in the Civil War by being able to finance the Civil War. The roots of the U.S. economy are in this room. So really historic place to be.
Matt, good to see you. And yeah, this is an incredible room. It's an incredible building. Treasury has helped save the Republic and the world 4 times. Once with Secretary Chase, financed the United States against the Confederacy, largely credited with the war effort. During the Great Depression, Treasury stood and helped the American people. During World War II, Treasury ran up the national debt through selling war bonds and financed the American war effort on behalf of the Allies. And then during COVID, Treasury kept the American economy running. So I'm hoping that I won't be one of the Treasury Secretaries who's called on to save the Union or save the world, but the building has a great history.
Right, but there are some major challenges that you've inherited as Treasury Secretary. Obviously, the previous administration, the Biden administration, inflation ran totally out of control. Prices were out of control. We're starting to see some promising signs here a month or so into the Trump administration. The latest numbers, CPI numbers, PPI numbers came out this week. Both seem to be headed in the right direction. We're not out of the woods yet, but your thoughts on those numbers that have come out this week?
Well, Matt, you're exactly right, but there are a lot of things that were out of control. So the inflation was out of control, so we inherited an affordability crisis. Hopefully we don't get a recursive Bidenflation. We're very vigilant. Could happen again, but we are doing everything we can to keep it down. And before we can bring down inflation, we also want to help affordability. So as we bring down inflation, we want to bring the absolute price level down through deregulation and bringing down interest rates for house payments, car payments. So then on inflation, we are seeing some nascent signs. I'd say crude oil price is down about 15% since President Trump took office. That's something we're focused on. Mortgage rates have come down every week since he took office. So there's some good signs. But as you said, there was a lot of blowout spending, a lot of blowout inflation.
So walk us through some of the steps you've already taken as secretary here and that President Trump has taken as president to lead to this moment where we are starting to see, perhaps a path out of the wilderness.
Yeah, well, the first thing is to get the spending under control. And I've said it several times that the mainstream media likes to lampoon or parody Doge, but this is serious business. I think that there's no one out there who thinks that the federal government couldn't do things in a better way with the less personnel and in a more effective way, dollar for dollar. So we're trying to bring down this spending, and we're determined to do that. We're trying to right-size the federal government. We are committed to that. As I mentioned, we've gotten oil prices down. Secretary Rollins had a very good plan to get egg prices down. So the media kind of touted it when they were going up, but now they're down 25% from the peak, and we don't hear much about that. So it's kind of an all hands on deck, all areas of government that we are trying to do that. Secretary Burgum, Secretary Wright are working on energy plans, whether it's permitting, whether it's this pipeline on the East Coast that'll bring down energy prices. We need the governor of New York to be our partner on that. So there are a lot of good things happening.
The established media gets a lot of things wrong, right? Like, so the one of the things I remember they would regularly criticize President Trump on from the campaign, he would say that right when he took office, we would see prices coming down. Well, they're starting to do that, right? Like, I mean, that's the thing. President Trump was right. They were wrong. Respond to the critics out there, because you see it across the establishment media. If you go pull up the establishment media outlets today, they will literally be tons of headlines of economic uncertainty, unease. We don't know what's coming. I think that they're all just full of it, personally. But what do you think? Respond to the establishment media critics out there.
Well, Matt, when I was on the other side of the wall, I never really liked the term fake news. Now that I am on the inside and I can see what they're reporting, I think the term fake news probably isn't strong enough. It's really not. That they start with an a priori, they've written the story, and then they just kind of shape shift facts to back into it, because many of the stories that I've been involved with are just so far off, so far off. There was a story in the New York Times the other day that talked about 50% headcount decreases at the IRS. Nobody's talking about that. These were on background, these were not named sources, and they're just trying to stir tumult during taxpayer filing season. I mean, it's crazy.